Hi everybody, Dr. Brian Houghton here, coming at you from my home office. This is the first installment of what I hope to be many called DcPrep. If you are in school, I'm making these videos for you, obviously free of charge, on my own time, on my own dime, because I look at you as the future of our profession. 40, 50 years from now, whenever they put me in the ground and I've done my last adjustment, I hope, and I'm going to do everything in my ability, my God-given ability, to set it up so that you have momentum moving forward, so that my office doesn't die with me, that our profession doesn't die when my generation dies off. And I'm watching it happen all around my office. I mean, from students who just graduated, when I talk to students, they're very disheartened, disenfranchised. People that have crazy ideas of what their practice is going to be like, and they haven't even opened yet, but they're going to tell me, right, like how it's going to go. To the 37, listen to this, there's 37 offices within a 1 mile radius of my office in North Dallas, 37. And that's just straight up on an online search. There's probably more that didn't come up on the search, but 37. So I went through each one of them, and 35 of that 37 aren't doing anything big, meaning they're not taking people and getting them healthy. You don't see a bunch of testimonies coming out of their office. All you see is they're advertising for workers' comp, PI. We take your insurance. We do this type of therapy. And, I'm not here to tell you how to practice, but what I'm telling you is that it's a very easy trap to get into all those things, and you'll be this fish in a huge pond. And consequently, what kind of difference are you going to make in individuals' lives? And that's the question I want to really get into today, is what kind of difference do you want to make? Yes, in an individual. Okay, I get that. So let's just take those other 35 offices who are seeing 50 or so a week, all insurance based. Yes, they're helping those people. I totally get that, and I respect it and admire it, and I'm glad they're doing it. Here's where I come from. When I was a child, I was really sick. I had, half a dozen medications. I was unable to finish soccer games and baseball games and that kind of thing. I was sucking on these inhalers and taking this steroid thing once a month at the doctor's office. I wasn't growing very well. My hormones weren't working right. I mean, I look back at some of those pictures and I'm like, my gosh, I was, obviously not where I am today with our health. And a chiropractor stepped into my family's life, intervened. They came and found us. We didn't find them on an insurance book or something like this. They came and found us. We met them at a screening, of all places, on the sidewalk of Kmart in Irving, Texas, back in 1984. They were out there in the sun screening at a Kmart, and we met them and came into the office, and everything changed about my life. My health took off like a rocket. I was growing. Obviously, my confidence got better. My hormones kicked in. Today, 31 years later, I just don't ever get sick. I take it upon myself to tell every single person this chiropractic story, this principled story, this law of life, that your brain and spinal cord are put there for a reason, to run your body, to organize all the cells, tissue, and organs. All the 70, 80 trillion cells in there aren't going to work without your brain and spinal cord. Think of that logically. If somebody's walking down the street and their spinal cord is clamped off, is there any possible way that they're functioning at 100%? And I think if you lined up all the chiropractic students and all the doctors of chiropractic out there, and even all the medical doctors, and you asked everybody, if we choke off the nervous system between the brain and body, is that going to be good or bad for the body? How many of them are going to say logically, yes, that would be bad for the person? Of course, you're going to get, the 10% that are going to fight no matter what. But the law is your spinal cord runs everything. You put any pressure on it at all, the tissue starts dying. We know that. The research is out there. It's what MS happens. I mean, that's not just MS, it's everybody. If you do that, things down here start to die. So just accept that. If you don't own that principle, if the school has beaten it out of you, then start reading testimony after testimony after testimony till it starts saturating you. So I take it upon myself. Obviously, I'm getting excited just thinking about the principle, because I know what it does for people. And I'm going to go reach as many as possible. So I made a commitment when I realized that the way that I was practicing wasn't leading to a big future. I made a commitment a year or two into practice where I said, you know what, I've got to change what I'm doing and reach as many people as possible. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know what numbers were. I had no idea what goal setting was or anything like that. I just knew in my heart that I had to go find these kids, find these people that were suffering, and at least tell them. Now it's up to them, just like it's up to you to take the appropriate action steps, it's up to them to take steps towards their health. And if you can get that right, you go and do as much as you can and leave the results up to the big man, right? Because the other person has to make that choice. If you start stepping in to their brain and start trying to convince them to do something or scare them to do something, it's going to come across as scare tactics. No. One thing that I've mastered over the years is painting appropriately, painting the right picture. Say, this is where you are. This is what you got happening. And if you don't change it, what does tomorrow look like? What does 5 years look like? What does 10 years look like? What do you want 70 to be like? And then leave it up to them. In other words, give them that choice. Now, the right choice is obviously, come start taking care of your spine. Some people don't do that. And that's, I've let go of that type of result. Because there's 50 other people right behind them. And those people that do leave, by the way, they don't leave angry, they don't leave upset or anything. We have a follow-up system where we, send them their x-rays and we love all over them. We say, look, we're ready when you are. But the majority of people, between 60 and 70% of everybody that walks through our doors, we had 91 new patients in April of 2016, so last month. We had 91, 59 of them started care. And incidentally now, all their families coming under care, their friends. Look, I didn't always do that, all right? 91 new in a month. I think if I were to look at the numbers again, I think that's about the average number of new patients in a year for a fairly busy office. So look, you have a choice. You can be bitter and be disgruntled and not do anything about it and fall into this trap where small thinking and thinking I'm going to see 50 a week or 100 a week, or you can get inspired and reach the masses. And that's the biggest thing. This is not about a particular coaching group. It's not about, you could go talk to consultants, but ultimately the change has to come from here, from you. It's all going to come from you. Okay? So let's get back on the money thing. So this house that we're in, when I was 2 years into practice, I was $290,000 in debt. That included, student loans, my business loan, the $50,000 car that I bought, which was, silly at the time. I didn't know any better. And, I realized that I did not have the tools. I had the heart, but I didn't have the tools to go help as many people as I can. I was in big time debt. Well, I went and found some coaches. I went and talked to different consultants. I tried to talk to other chiropractors. I want to touch on this. Matthew Barnett wrote a book called The Cause Within You. I would highly recommend you read that because I ran into something that I did not expect. And that was getting blasted by my peers, including people in my family, my friends, even patients. When I started wanting to improve and change the direction of where the practice was going, that's when I really started taking some heat, and I wasn't ready for that. Now I take it very well, but there's a book called The Cause Within You. Matthew Barnett, he's a pastor out at the Dream Center in LA, and there's a quote, there's a phrase that he said in there, and he didn't focus on this, but he mentioned it. He says, I've just come to realize that getting blasted by my peers is something that's going to happen. Now, if you don't know anything about him, he started with a church that was dying, and now he has one of the largest churches in the world, and it's all set up around the homeless population in South Central LA. In fact, he what's that zone, the district where all the the drug lords and Skid Row. His goal was to end Skid Row. So great book. Another great book to read, or if you listen to books, is 7 Men by Eric Metaxas. In that book, there's a shorter version of William Wilberforce's story. So the movie Amazing Grace is about this guy, But William Wilberforce, he knew that he was going to take all kinds of heat for what his big mission was, and he prepared for it. So just know that you're going to get some heat and some slack moving forward in this profession. Even if you stay small, if you think you're going to hide in a corner and not get heat from people right around the street, that's crazy talk. So just be ready for it. Now, I can tell you after all that coaching and all the learning and all the reaching out to people and getting through the silliness where people were saying, oh, you can't do that, you can't see more than 100, you can't see more than 150 and do quality care. I knew that I still had, I was in the office 6 to 7 hours a day, and there were still dead spots all over the office. Even back then when I was doing therapy, people would stay in the office for 30 minutes. Well, the adjustment would take about a minute. And then they would do all this therapy over here for 30 minutes, and I had these roller beds and muscle stim and all that. So I knew I had time. I just had no idea how to organize it, how to set up people in a flow is what we call it now. Fast forward to today, and there's no way I could tell you everything that I did in one 10-minute video here. But I do want to inspire you. Today, we have been easily seeing over 1,000 people a week. So imagine that, seeing 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 people a week in your office. Now, once we did get over 1,000, we ran into some big road bumps, and we shrunk quite a bit. We shrunk about 40%. We got about 600, and even in the 500s there for a little bit, because there were some things that happened that I didn't figure out. So I had to relearn some stuff. I had to go back to school, and now we're back on the up and up. We're getting closer to 800 and 900 again, and now it's easier because we've already made the mistakes, right? I'm telling you that scenario because that type of stuff is going to happen. You want to be ready for it. Take it on the chin, get up, and keep pushing forward. Okay, this whole leadership thing, this whole growth thing is all about learning. It's all about growing. It's not some destination you get to and then you're done. Having to practice the same way. Don't look at it as like you get up to 100 a week and you've arrived, or you're making 50,000 a month and you've arrived. You can't think that way because you'll start sliding backwards. I've seen it hundreds of times. You want to always start pushing forward. So your goals should be more like a step. Because once you get to that goal, I found this out also, once you get to that goal, you can always see how you could achieve more. So when we were over 1,000, for example, I still had dead spots all throughout the office. Now the adjustments take 20 to 30 seconds. And I can tell you on another video how we arrived at the adjusting technique that we did. The technique is not that important. Let me say that again. The technique is not, it's important, but it's not as important as your heart in here. A lot of people, when you come into the room, just your very presence, they start to feel better. They start to heal. Or just because you're walking in there because you love them, because your intent is to help them. So just for now, don't get too hung up on the technique. I'm not ever going to tell you in these videos, do this technique or do that. I will tell you later on what I've learned about different techniques, but here and here, you've got to get that right. So getting back to this, money thing, some students say, they would say, well, Dr. Brian, money's not that important to me. I just want to help people. I just want to serve the masses. I don't care about the money. If somebody tells you that money is not important to them, I believe they are going to lie to you about a whole lot of other things. I've had no money. I've had negative money. I've had a lot of money. I have a lot of money now. I can tell you it is far better to have it than to not have it or to be negative about it. Start getting okay with money. You've got to charge a fee, and it needs to be respectable. If you want to charge somebody $100 a visit, go for it. I would not charge them $19 a visit. It's too cheap that way. It's like fast food, and whether you think that way or not, I'm telling you, the other people do. All right? They're going to place value on you and what you're offering them. So if you go lowball, all right, they're going to think of you as McDonald's. Do you want to offer McDonald's care? Or do you want to offer the organic grass-fed steaks and organic veggies? That kind of care. That's what I want to give people, and they pay for it. Look, we're not even insurance, by the way. We don't bill any insurance anymore. Not even car crashes, unless somebody is already under care. Then we'll show them how to turn in their receipts so they can collect. We don't even bill that anymore. All cash, 100%, well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. But I will tell you, it all started, that is a result of me focusing on wanting to help people. So you see chiropractors out there that are very successful. They're driving around all these fancy cars and everything, the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Listen, those things are awesome. They're awesome. Who in the right mind, guys, who in the right mind is not going to want to get behind a 700 horsepower Lamborghini and hit the gas pedal and go as fast as you possibly can? Maybe not all of you, but that type of stuff is exciting to me. Owning one, that's not that important to me. I love those guys that have those cars. I've got a friend who has like 6 Ferraris. Now he is doing things the right way. He's not just about the money. He's about helping people, helping students. He's awesome. And I love the fact that he's a car guy. I'm just not a car guy. I have an Audi out there that's 10 years old. I've got a Tahoe out there that's 10 years old. Now my wife, she's a Jeep girl. So we got her this big old fancy Jeep last year. Cars are just cars. Houses are, and I am a house guy. I'm a house guy. We built this house. We wrote a check for the acre that we built the house on and wrote a check for the house that we built in cash. So look, all that to tell you this. If money is important to you, if it's kind of in your important scale, it's up here. I know it has to be important to all of us, right? Yeah, you can't go out of business and help people. Right? That will come if you focus on the right thing. If in the center of your goals and your war plan is helping as many people as possible, that's important. Help as many people as you possibly can. The money shows up. The referrals show up. If your focus is on money, that literally headbutts people away from you. Not just patients, but your friends. Now, I've got example after example, and I won't give any names, but there's heartbreaking stuff. Some guys that graduated before me that tried to get me into this workers' comp system that they had, and they literally were making $400,000 or $500,000 a month in the workers' comp system. And all three of them going horrible divorces. Their families falling apart. But when you saw them, they were spending all of this lavish money, these big houses. You know, the money can't be everything. It's important, but don't let it get you. For the love of money, man, that's a big statement. You can't love money. You gotta love the people, and then the money will show up. So that was the big message that I want to give in this first DcPrep talk. We're gonna get this on a YouTube channel called DcPrep. I'm in Dallas, so Parker Chiropractic College is right here, so I'm going to be involved with some students there. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them. So get in touch with us. Obviously, you can find us through YouTube. You can find us through social media, through Facebook. Dr. Brian Hooten, drhooten.com is my website. Yes, I'm part of a coaching company now. I've consulted with 10 different groups over the years, so I've taken all this wealth of knowledge and 16 years in, and I have more passion today than I did last year, certainly more than I did 5 years, 10 years ago. The sky's the limit. You can come visit us at our office anytime in North Dallas. God bless you guys, and thank you for watching, and let's help take over healthcare.